Well, joining us to talk about all of that is Justin Leto, attorney, and we love having him on the show. How are you, Justin?
I'm doing well, Rita. Thanks again for having me.
Love having you on. And, Justin, I think this is so fascinating. Let's first talk about this jury selection, because now it's going to be in the State College area. First of all, think about what a wild trial that's going to be. But also, in this case, they wanted it. This is Jerry Sandusky, the former Penn State assistant football coach. He wanted it in that area. Why?
Well, it's a brilliant move by the
I think so, too.
It really is, because if you think about it, this case, nobody even knew who Jerry Sandusky was.
Yeah, I never heard of him before, right.
Right, unless you're a college football fan or you live in State College, Pennsylvania. So you go outside of State College, Pennsylvania to any other location, and people are going to know him for what he's been charged with, which are just horrific crimes against children. The only people in the world who may actually have a favorable opinion of this guy are the ones who know him from seeing him around town, from him being a local celebrity who worked for Joe Paterno. So, you got to give credit to the defense here, because they're really looking for a jury pool that may, in fact, have the only folks available to them that may not see this man for being just a straight child abuser.
Well, and you can see, it's interesting, Justin, you can see the opening arguments. They're going to basically say, okay, well, take a look at this man. This man was a pillar of the community. He was, what Penn State means to your community. You know how much charity, this particular charity means to your community. And here's this wonderful man. How could he be charged with blank, right?
Well, yeah, I think the more important thing that we have to look for here is how skilled the prosecution team is going to be at jury selection. Because, as any trial lawyer will tell you, a lot of times trials are won or lost during jury selection.
Yeah, who would you pick on the jury? Someone who obviously has no connection to Penn State and not enamored with Penn State in any shape or form.
Well, think about it, though. There's a lot.
I'd pick someone who never watched a football game. That's who I'd pick.
But there may be some people who have been tremendous fans of Penn State for 50 years, or could have been alumni of Penn State who feel that their reputation has been tarnished.
That's a great point. That's a great point.
So it's such a complicated area, and I would be fascinated to watch the jury selection of this case, because there's going to be so many fascinating issues to ask of these local people in State College about their opinions and about their thoughts. Any bias that a trial lawyer can find is enough to get a juror off for causation reasons, because they can't be fair and impartial. But it's going to be so interesting to see how the prospective jury answers questions, and whether or not people who are alumni and live in that town are actually horrified by what this man did and what he's done to the reputation of their school.
Right. And by the way, he's facing, as I mentioned, 52 criminal counts for what they say was sexual abuse of 10 boys over a 15-year period. You've got, Mike McCreary, who says he saw him in the shower and it looked like the act of blank, I mean, just these horrible things. And you've got other boys now apparently are coming forward, and some of the boys obviously willing to testify. It's going to be explosive.
And what's so interesting is that when I first saw this case, I didn't know anything about Jerry Sandusky personally, and I figured, he was lucky not to be in jail. He was lucky to be given his house arrest, and I figured he would just clam up and say nothing.
Yeah, and instead he's defiant.
That's exactly the word I was going to use. He's incredibly defiant, which gives me the impression that he's going to take this thing in front of the public eye, and it's going to be a trial that we're all going to watch. It's going to be a huge trial to observe from the outside, because the allegations are just so terrible in this case, and what they're saying that he did is so horrible. And to see him so defiant and to have the nerve to complain that he can't throw a bone to his dog.
Oh, I know. It seems so minimal. When you hear that and you're like, wait a minute, this is a guy charged with horrific crimes, multiple people, not just one person making an allegation. It's like slapping the face to justice, it seems.
I go into a courtroom, and people who are charged with misdemeanors who can't afford to bond out are sitting in jail waiting for their trial. Mm-hmm. This guy should be thanking the good Lord above that somebody actually was nice enough to give him house arrest. I don't think he deserves house arrest, first of all. I think that
yeah, these crimes are right. These are very serious. I agree with you. These are very serious crimes. It's shocking, Justin.
People who are acquitted of crimes, who are found not guilty, still sit in jail for months, if not longer, waiting for their trial.
Now, what about him being able now? He wanted to be able to see his grandkids. There is a relative. I'm trying to find it here from my memory. There was a relative.
Yeah, it's his daughter-in-law.
Yeah, daughter-in-law who said, I don't want him around my kids.
Right, and again, when I listened to him...
But the judge ruled in his favor and said, yeah, you can have access to your grandkids.
Which surprises me, and I don't typically like to second-guess the judges, because sometimes they know things that we don't know, or they're inside, and we were not in the courtroom for this one. But, this is a man who's accused of crimes specifically against children. So it doesn't matter if it's his grandchildren or somebody else. I don't think that he should be around children while we're awaiting his trial. If he were, I heard the argument made that if he were in jail, that he would be able to speak to his grandchildren, but that's much different. He would be able to speak to his grandchildren through a glass window pane in a supervised capacity. To allow him to have children coming in and out of his house, the same house where he's accused of doing these terrible things to other children. It just doesn't seem proper to me.
Yeah, it doesn't. There's just something. It seems so like he's getting some favoritism compared to other people. And I'm surprised the judge. Obviously look? The judge has to bend over for the defense. Usually they always try to give that person the benefit of the doubt, correct? But this is a little surprising.
Well, I don't think when you're talking about whether or not somebody should be given certain bond or house arrest, they don't always do bend over for the defense.
Well, and my point is here with the serious crime. I think this is serious. I mean, this is not like some minor.
And he's a danger to not just to society, but if these allegations are true, then he's a danger specifically to children. So I see absolutely no reason why his grandchildren should be anywhere near that house.
I agree, and I think he needs to give up throwing ball to his dog, because there's apparently an elementary school right there. I mean, if I were a parent, I'd be very concerned.
Me too. Of course, there always are people who get a little bit, out of control with being nervous or being scared. But as a parent myself, I can understand why parents who are right next to in that elementary school and have children in that elementary school don't want an accused pedophile looking out the window and watching their kids run around the elementary school playground. It wouldn't make me feel comfortable. And so for them simply to ask that he stay inside, again, he should be thankful that he can sit inside, he can watch TV, he can have a home-cooked meal, he could talk on the telephone. He's not sitting in a jail cell awaiting trial on this case. I just can't believe how defiant he is, and it's going to make for a very interesting trial.
Oh,
and I wouldn't be surprised if he testifies.
I think he is, and I think he's going to probably try to shame these people and say, "Look, are you mad at him because he didn't do X for you, or are you sure he really did this?" I mean, I think that it's going to be a very nasty witness exchanges too, don't you?
It's going to be unfortunate for the children.
Oh, my heart breaks for them.
Who have to testify, but it's going to happen. And because this man has been such a public speaker so far, under most circumstances, I would say defendants in cases like this should never take the stand, and I don't think he should either. But based upon the fact that he's already giving interviews and coming out and talking about these things in public and news conferences, he's going to get up there and he's going to try to utilize his manipulative ways with his reputation to try to curry favor with jurors who may feel badly for him or may feel some sense of camaraderie with him because of the whole Penn State situation. So we're looking at a very interesting trial. I just feel terrible for the victims who have to go through it.
Yeah, I do too. Justin, thank you so much. Justin Leto, great attorney, and we appreciate you being on the show, Justin.
Thanks again, Rita. Have a great day. Look forward to talking to you again.
Thank you. Me too. And we'll be right